Howie Long, Fox NFL Sunday analyst and Hall of Famer. Now, he had a son who played at Oregon, and I think he's with the Chicago Bears now. And he's got a son who plays for the Rams. Not a bad family tree there. Is Howie with us? Hey, Howie, how are you?
Good morning. How are you, Dan?
Good, buddy. Best gift that your kids have gotten you before?
Chris got me a pair of sneakers his first year in the league. Some Jordan collectible Nikes, and they're on my shelf. Yeah, they give me some great gifts, to be honest. Just things that I don't know that other people would necessarily view them the same way, but the sneakers were kind of symbolic of all the damn sneakers I bought him over the years.
Was it ever weird, though? Now you have your kids, that Chris is making great money. Like, when I made more money than my dad at one point, I mean, it felt really weird.
I think your dad was, I'm sure your dad looks at it the same way I do. I think, like any parent, we all want our kids to do well. And when they do better than you do financially, that's great.
Who buys dinner, though? Let's say you go see Chris in St. Louis for a Rams game.
Right.
Who buys dinner?
I think by habit, I probably try to do that a little bit more than I should. But that's just ingrained in me. But Chris certainly is more than happy to pick up dinner and can do so.
Yeah.
His card's not getting turned down.
We were talking about the game, and it was ugly last night. And to me, it's not a coincidence. Thursday night games I don't like. I appreciate them as a fan, but as somebody who's watching these games, I do want to see a good game on Thursday night. I just think it's impossible to prepare mentally and physically for a game 4 days after you played, Howie.
I agree. New England's beat up. On top of losing Gronkowski, Hernandez, they lose Welker in the offseason. They bring in Amendola. He's down, and I think Jay Glazer will have something on him on Sunday. He's throwing to a lot of people that he's not familiar with, and that's probably as like Peyton. I think the two guys that want you in a certain spot on a certain route on time, it's Peyton and Tom Brady.
But do you have any problem with Brady being, really voicing and showing his displeasure with his receivers last night?
I've always kind of had a problem with not specifically with Tom, and that's not the case with Tom, because a majority of the time the receivers are exactly where they're supposed to be. So that rarely happens. But you're talking about young receivers early in the season, as you mentioned, on a short week. That's probably the biggest shock to a young player. Here I am, I'm a rookie, or I'm a second-year guy. It's my first real game in the lineup, and just played on Sunday. And wait a second, I got to cram for an entire other game with this volume of plays and audibles, and I've got to play on Thursday.
Well,
that's a lot to ask.
Brady said he's got to work on his body language.
No, I saw that. And you know what? He's aware, and when he's aware of something, he impresses me as a guy that will get it right.
Talking to Howie Long, NFL and Fox analyst, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Poll question. You have a game on the line, playoffs, and you can have Eli or Peyton Manning as your quarterback.
Does Peyton have Thomas, Decker, and Welker?
They can have their current weapons.
I'd go with Peyton.
What if they both had the same weapons, Eli and Peyton? Game on the line, playoffs. Who do you want?
Boy, oh boy. Eli has certainly shown the ability to play big in big games. I'm not sure if the third down play in the Super Bowl is, that was just the football gods. He should have been sacked.
Yeah.
Rolls out, throws on the run, something that's not necessarily his sport, and he gets the catch of the maybe Super Bowl history, and then there's a blown coverage, and he hits Plaxico for the game winner.
I would take Eli.
Really?
Yeah, I would. I think his demeanor in the moment, it adds to his abilities.
You know, you say it's really interesting because having 3 sons, I've always marveled at people's perception that, you know, Eli's just not as competitive as Peyton because Peyton is so demonstrative. You have kids, I have kids. We both know same house, same love, same discipline, everything. They're all different. Eli, people assume there's not a lot going on there emotionally. He's like a duck on the water. It looks calm above the water, and those feet are just churning.
But it's the same with Montana. Montana was very competitive, but he found that he was great in the moment, that he never got out of who he was and his style and what he was supposed to be. Peyton, look, one of the great quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
I think the moment sometimes gets him even more excited and may take him out of his element. I thought it happened to Favre sometimes.
I think there are times when a player at any position, and we're talking specifically about quarterbacks right now, you want something so much, particularly as your career kind of, you see when you realize the light at the end of the tunnel is not the sunshine, it's a train. And that train's coming for you. That inevitable train's going to hit you, and you're going to be done, and you're running out of time. That's when you press even more. At least that's how I felt.
Yes, then that's what I'm saying about Peyton, Favre. You force something, and Flacco's got the same number of playoff wins as Peyton Manning does. I think and I'm not saying he's better than him, but I think
to me, Joe is an interesting guy. Joe is really super confident, almost to the point of, some might perceive it as arrogance. I don't. I just think he's extremely confident in his abilities.
He's
and when
aloof.
You've got guys with big arms like that. You look at Vic, and you look at guys with big arms, and you say, there's a reason why he feels really special, because he feels like he can fit the ball in a keyhole at 60 yards off the wrong foot. That's a gift.
Can I take a break and bring you back? I want to ask you about Ndamukong Suh and playing angry. So we'll continue with Howie Long, NFL and Fox. Howie Long, Hall of Famer, NFL and Fox analyst, kind enough to rejoin us. I wanted to talk about playing with anger or angry. Certain positions, can you do it? Quarterback. Well, I asked Peyton, can you play angry? And he said no at quarterbacking position. But with Ndamukong Suh, and even when you played, can you play with anger?
Yeah, I think you do have to play with anger. And at the end, for me, I started running out of reasons to be angry. And I think when Ndamukong loses that, it'll be time for him to go. But that being said, I never did anything that I felt that, particularly at the time, was intentional or, directed by me wanting to light somebody up and hurt them.
You never went out of your way to purposely hurt somebody?
No.
Is he?
Does he do that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That has to, here's the big issue. Here's a couple of things. I think he's a dominant player. I think he's someone that you have to account for. And I think that's lost in all of this.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because we should be talking about how good a player he is. Physically, he's as strong a defensive tackle as that we have in the league. He's a bear to deal with. That being said, there are times when he gets to the quarterback. We talk about in basketball great finishers. He is as good a finisher of the quarterback, maybe too good, maybe too strong, as we have in the game. Now, he has to understand that, and there has to be a shot clock in his head when he has to stop.
But we're asking him to change. And I don't know. It's like RG3. Hey, I need you to change. What made them great got them here. It's hard for them to go, wait a minute, now I got to think about this and I got to change. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, Dan. and that's a great analogy. If both don't change, chances are they're going to have a real problem. And the interesting thing, if Ndamukong lined up next to me in the 80s or the early 90s with the Raiders, he celebrated. Someone just needs to bring him the newspaper and show him the date.
Well, so we've changed.
Well, no, there's no question. I think over the last 4 years, and I think with each successive year, the players that are in the league will be more and more used to the way we're supposed to play the game now, based on the commissioner's. I think it's his defining issue is player safety in my mind, and there's a number of reasons for that. I think he's genuinely concerned about player safety for sure, and it's about existing and future litigation.
You saw Chip Kelly's offense. Your son played at Oregon, and now here he is in Philadelphia. And I'm not surprised at the tempo of the offense, because if you watched Oregon, you knew it was all about tempo. I'm a little bit surprised with formations here. At what point, and we see this no matter what the offense is, the defense eventually will catch up to you to understand it. How long does that take before defenses look at what Chip's doing in Philadelphia and say, okay, now it's a level playing field. We got this figured out a little bit.
Well, I think if you're doing one thing, for example, if you're running the read option, if you're running the pistol, it's how do you stop Kaepernick? Well, let's get into all the ways that he can beat you and where's his ceiling, and they can go, 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, 6 offensive linemen, 2 back, 4 wides. They can run read, they can run pistol. That's San Francisco. He has a Rolodex of plays, and it's really interesting because I saw it at Oregon, and I knew from a pace standpoint, I think they were at 17 seconds a clip this past weekend. And I felt like, why can't it be successful? You draft Johnson, you got Peters at the other tackle, you've got the makings of a very good offensive line. McCoy is an elite running back. Jackson is a home run hitter at wide receiver. Michael Vick is the most dynamic player he's ever had at that position. Just splitting the 2 tackles out wide was one of the, just roll over, gut laugh plays. Because here's the thing with him, like Jimmy Johnson, and I said this on our show, he reminds me a lot of Jimmy. He's really smart, he's really confident, and he's not constrained by the conventional wisdom of what you can and can't do in our league. And my only question with the whole thing is, can Michael survive? Can McCoy? I believe McCoy had 31 carries.
Yeah.
Second half, can you close a ball game out when you're up? How do you close a ball game up? Well, they've got Ertz, they've got Selleck. You still haven't seen really a heavy dose of a 2 tight end package, which he's shown. I think the possibilities are limitless for him, but it's a culture change also. It's how you eat. It's how you sleep. We're going to be holding you more accountable on that. The schedule is different. Everything he does is different. It's not the way everyone else has done it for years.
Good to visit with you as always. Give my best to the boys there at Fox. Thanks for joining us, Howie.
Okay, partner. See you guys.
Thank you. Howie Long, NFL on Fox.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.